Hello everybody, it's Dana Sullivan, the Stampin' Chick, here with you today, and I have had questions about how I made the masks that I used on my projects for the April 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit. For example, this card here, as you can see, is made from this card mask, and then this one I used the leaf cluster to sponge all over the card and to sponge the leaf cluster inside the card. Now, why would we make masks and why would we do this? Well, because once you use up the supplies of your card kit, you have these negative pieces left over. For example, the leaf actually was a three-leaf cutout die cut piece that you punched out the pieces and then you would use them on your card project, right? But then you have this negative section left over. So by making a mask with the negative space, you end up with this thing that you can use over and over again for various other projects, and you can extend the life of your Paper Pumpkin Kit and thus creating absolutely beautiful projects, alternative projects that will extend the life of your kit. So I thought I had done a live video with my Paper Pumpkin groupies over on Facebook, and they were asking about the scrappy strip technique that Bruno Bertucci had coined here on YouTube, and wanted to know how to do it. And so I had done a Facebook Live with them showing the technique and making this card. And I thought, you know what, I've got my kit out already, and I had been thinking of another project that I wanted to do, another alternative card, and when I was doing my first set of alternatives, I had stamped this piece, had cut it out and left it, and I hadn't done anything with it. And so when I pulled everything out to do my live with the group today, I saw this piece and thought, you know, I still haven't done a project with that. And I have this negative piece for the tree branches, and or rather the tree trunk, actually. And so I thought I would just come on here and show you how I made my mask, so that way you know, and you can make it yourself with your own pieces, and then you have something to use for your future projects as well. So the tree is this piece right here. This is what came in the kit, and as you can see, I believe, did we get 2 or 3 sheets? I think 2 sheets of these. So we got 6 of the trees. Well, I've already used all of my trees for my alternative projects. So if I wanted to do another tree, I would have to figure something else out, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my snips and I'm going to sacrifice the middle tree to the powers that be, the paper gods, as it were, and I'm going to cut out just this one piece. Okay, so let me just move these pieces out of the way, and I'm going to trim this up just a little, and I'm not going to worry too much about this here because I'm going to actually build up an outer edge. As you can see here, the edge of this paper is probably right about there, but when I've put the strips of masking tape on, I've given me a wider border, and same thing with this one. In fact, you can see it even better with this, because here's the negative, and you can see, just like with the trees, the leaves are very close together and they kind of intertwine like so. But I have managed to be able to make a nice square border on this piece, and that's because I used the masking tape to build it up. Okay, so I'm going to take this here, and I'm using this roll of I don't even know, it's 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch. And it's actually kind of old masking tape. I found it in one of our junk drawers, and I know that you probably have one of those junk drawers, right? Where you just randomly throw things that you don't know where they go, or there's that one drawer in the kitchen, usually is where our junk drawer is anyway. And so I found it in the junk drawer, and you know, it's still super tacky though. In fact, it's more tacky than it probably was before. So I thought this is perfect to make masks with. So this is what we're going to do. Alright, so I'm going to have to build this up a bit though. So let me get my silicone mat, and I'm going to lay this piece down, and I'll start with the sides that I do have good, and it doesn't really matter to do that. That's just what I'm doing. And notice that I'm leaving a bit over the edge here, and I'm going to do the same on this side, and that's just going to help me build up my border piece. Okay, so I've got that, and then let me bring that a little bit farther to the edge so that I can fit it on the other side. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same thing over here, and I'm gonna leave it a bit longer because I'm gonna build this up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it over the edge here and fasten it down there, and then I'm going to bring it out about to here so that it's relatively lined up with that. Now I will square it up and make it look a little neater. As you see, I like my edges to be clean cut, so I'll show you how we do that. Alright, so then we'll just turn our piece here, and this side is going to be really easy because it's already basically squared up. So we'll just attach that there. And as you can see, I'm building a foundation of tape. And we'll just keep working from that, okay? But now this side, we have a close edge here. We have this missing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to, nice and easy, build this section up. So the first thing I want to do is cover those little open edges. And you want to make sure you have a good border on your mask, because you don't want to be using your sponge dauber to get this design on your project and then you accidentally go off the edge and you have this ugly line and it's terrible, right? So we're going to build this up so that we have a nice border so that we don't have to worry about that. Alright, so now we're going to do another section right here. And now one thing you want to be careful is not to cover any part of your actual design area. So you see I was overlapping that space. I want to bring it down so that it's not overlapping where I'm going to be painting or coloring or whatever I'm going to do. Alright, so it seems a little time consuming up front, but once you get it finished, you're never going to have to worry about it again. I mean, I have these ones done, and the only thing I have to do to maintain them is not to let them get intertangled so that they don't get bent inside, right? Okay, so now I have this built up and it's covered, so I'm going to try to come straight across here. Alright, so I'm going to bring this piece, and you'll see it looks like I'm still going to have to cover this little spot here, right? Because that's an opening, and we don't want any opening inside of our mask except for our shape. So I'll go ahead and trim this off. And then I'm just going to bring my tape back in, and you can do just a little strip like that if you want to, that's fine. Here we go. Alright. And then I'm going to go over most of this a second time because I want it to have a really nice edge to it. So I'll just come back in here again and go over the top of these pieces again. As you can see, it does waste a bit. I don't want to say waste. It uses a bit of your masking tape. It's not wasting it if you're actually using it, right? Okay, so we'll just do that. Alright, and then I'll come back over here to the edge. Get a good square edge going. And then we're going to go all the way back around. And then once we go all the way back around, we're going to flip the piece over and do the same thing on the other side, so that way we don't have tape sticking out, so it's not sticky. It's just like this. I can touch all the way around it, and the mask is completely covered on both sides, so it's not tacky. Alright, so we'll come back to this side. This is why we use that silicone mat, so that we can just lay it down and work our way around here. And you'll see, once we get finished, it's going to be a nice mask that we're going to be able to use over and over and over and over again. So, yeah, it's a little bit of work up front, but it's well worth it. Alright, so there we go. Let me pull some of that off. Okay, now that I have it all the way around the front how I want, I'm going to give it a really good burnish, so that way it doesn't lift off of my stencil when I pull it off. I'm going to go ahead and pull this piece off nice and easy. I don't want to damage my stencil. Okay, and then we'll go over all of it again on the back side, so that way we don't have anything sticky again. So right off the bat, I'm going to come up here and cover that section. And as you can tell from all of these layers, it's going to make the mask a little bit more thick, so it's going to be more sturdy, at least around the edges anyway. Here we go. Okay, now because we did 2 layers on the front, we actually just need 1 layer on the back. The back side is literally just to get the sticky covered, okay? So we don't have to build it up anymore. You can if you want, but this point we're just covering up the sticky stuff, okay? Go. I do want to make sure that I'm covering the edges of my mask even on this side, even though it's attached to the mask on the front, because I want to really sandwich the edges of the paper into the tape. So that's one thing. You want it to be able to hold up, so I want it to cover the edges on both sides, and it can be just the tiniest little sliver. You see here, it's just barely covered up in there, but I definitely want it to be covered on the edges. Okay, and then one more, and this really isn't difficult. It's super simple to do. It's just the slightest bit time consuming up front. Okay, but once you have it done, it's going to be great because you can have your little masks in the box, and when you're ready to use them, just pull them out and sponge daub with them, or markers or paint or whatever you want to do. You could spray over them or whatever. Alright, there we go. Give it a good burnish just like we did on the front. Very good. Alright, and now, because I like my edges to be nice and even, I'm going to bring my little trimmer in. I may need to bring the big cutter, but we'll see. Oh, it did good. Okay. And give me a nice clean edge. Nice and easy. It's a little thick on that spot. I really struggled with it. And then, where's my edge? Right there. Yes, and one more. There we go. Alright, now you see my mask is done. The stencil, mask, whatever you call it. Actually, this is a stencil, not a mask. The mask would be the opposite. It would be the image itself. But there you have it. You have a fabulous tree stencil that you can now use as many times as you want, and stencil on your card and then layer your tree pieces on, or stencil over the top of your tree pieces, and make fabulous projects. So there you go, folks. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and now you'll be looking at all of those negative pieces totally different for every time you get your paper pumpkin kit. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Until next time, bye for now.